Provincial Superior, accompanied by Father Peter Mascarenes, the convener of the meet. Symposium here today at Hyderabad intends to regenerate the spirit of St. Montfort into us, our mission, and in the society. The spirit of St. Montfort lives on in us and through us in our mission, making Jesus known and loved. His spirit has been animating us, leading us, and guiding us for the last 300 years. The congregations that he began to carry on his mission, that is the Lord's mission, and the other societies that share the spirit of Montfort, speaks of the blessings that the Lord has been bestowing on us. We invite the Lord to continue to bless us, guide us, and lead us in carrying forward the mission entrusted to us through St. Louis de Montfort to its fulfillment. To begin this program, may I invite Reverend Bishop Father Raja Rao to garland the portrait of St. Montfort. To invoke the blessings of the Almighty.
We are honored by the gracious and precious presence of Most Reverend Brother John Clerical, the Superior General of the Montfort Brothers of St. Gabriel. When I wrote to him about gracing this auspicious occasion with his keynote address, he has joyfully accepted our request. He wrote to me that he will be in India on visitation of his communities. In fact, it is true. He is busy strengthening his brothers in mission with specific aspiration, as I can say so. We are not only grateful to you, but thanks for your message, which comes straight from your heart, the pearls of wisdom we await to cherish and to nourish in order to flourish in the garden of Montfortian family. Most Reverend Brother, a cordial welcome to you. I invite Brother Alexis. It is my pleasant and privileged duty to honor the presence of the president of this gathering, Reverend Father Luigi Gritti, our Assistant Superior General, who has come all the way from Rome to grace this event with joy and profound admiration. Reverend Father, I stand before you on behalf of all of us to extend you a cordial welcome, Father Balashevri. Your presence is our strength. It was the will of Montfort, and now it is the Montfortians, that the daughters of wisdom should be an inspiration of wisdom among us. We have with us the Provincial Superior of Daughters of Wisdom, Sister Lily, to add beauty and color to our gathering with a feminine voice. I stand here to extend a sincere welcome to you, dear sister, Sister Jayashri. There are many more to be welcomed, especially the Assistant Generals who are present here, all the provincials, but especially Brother Albert, Provincial of Singapore, Malaysia, and the members of the Montfortian family, brothers, sisters, priests, our lay associates, and speakers of this symposium from all over the country. What a marvelous, magnificent gathering, dreamt by none other than Louis Murray, our father founder. Your presence has enhanced our joy and happiness. As it is well said, one day passes without happiness, you will lose one day. One day passes with happiness, then you gain one day. I'm sure it is your gain and nothing in vain, maybe with pain or without, however, for greater domain, with the spirit and love of Mary, our mother. Let us share friendship, fellowship, companionship, and comradeship in this ocean of life. Once again, I joyfully extend a warm welcome all the delegates and all our friends who are present here, and also thank you for your gracious and precious presence.
Thank you, Reverend Father Peter, for your warm words of welcome. May I now invite Reverend Brother John Clerical, Superior General, Montfort Brothers of St. Gabriel, to deliver the keynote address.
Dignitaries on the days, Your Excellency, Bishop Joseph Raja Rao, Reverendissimo Padre Luigi Gritti, dear Reverend Sister Lily, Reverend Father Peter Mascarenas, beloved members of the Montfortian family, dear Reverend Fathers, brothers and sisters, esteemed associates and collaborators from the Montfortian establishments, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. There has been an unhealthy tradition among the Montfortians that those who have been called upon to give the keynote address used to catch cold the previous day. And you will discover soon that I'm not an exception. Well, let me begin thanking our beloved Bishop for that very inspiring, touching homily. Congratulate Mr. John and the vibrant choir of St. Paul's for that melodious soul-stirring music. Congratulate all those who are responsible for this tasteful, eye-catching decoration of the stage and the hall, and thank our convener of the committee for his warm words of welcome. Well, it's certainly a joy for me to join you all assembled here for the Montfort International Tercentenary Symposium, marking the closing ceremony of the year-long Tercentenary celebrations. Today, as we conclude the tercentenary of the historical event of the birth of Saint Louis Marie de Montfort into the heavenly abode, we thank God profoundly for what he did through his intervention in history. The death of Saint Montfort was the beginning of a new era in the history of the Montfortians. Undoubtedly, the tercentenary of the death of Montfort is a jubilee year, a year of grace. It is a jubilee year not only for the three congregations of the Montfortian family, but also for all the Montfortian associates and collaborators in our ministries and all those who have been inspired by Saint Montfort, his charism, his mission and spirituality. For all of us throughout the Montfortian world, this tercentenary aims at being not just a time of simple celebration, but a valuable opportunity offered to us for honoring the past, treasuring the present, and shaping the future, as the Tercentenary Committee has aptly summed up the theme. It is an opportunity to look back with gratitude, to look at the present with confidence, and to dream of the future of the Montfortian family's evangelizing, educational, and healthcare mission with the energy and the novelty of the gospel. As Confucius rightly said, study the past if you would define the future. A tercentenary jubilee is indeed an occasion to celebrate its various achievements during the past 300 years. It is also a time to reinvent ourselves with the experience of the past, the requirements of the present, and our dreams for the future. It's an opportunity for courage and a prophetic outlook, allowing ourselves to be led by the Spirit, who will always lead us to the newness of God. This tercentenary is no doubt an important landmark, but it is most importantly another beginning. As Pope St. John Paul II said to all the religious, I quote, "You have not only a glorious history to remember and to tell, but also a great history to build. Keep your view towards the future, towards the Spirit, who continues to inspire you to great things." Vita Consecrata 100. For the Montfortian family, the span of 3 centuries is a long period of time filled with memorable footprints of God's interventions. As we commemorate the long journey of 300 years from 1716 to 2016, it calls for recollections and introspection. It's a call to go back to the spirituality and charism of Saint Louis Marie de Montfort with greater dynamism and zeal for recalling and renewing and revitalizing the spirit and the mission. The history of the Church reveals that Saint Louis Marie de Montfort has had a tremendous influence on the Church, especially on 4 popes of the 19th and the 20th centuries. Pope Leo XIII, Pope Pius X, Pope Pius XII, and Pope John Paul II. Pope Leo XIII lived at a time when he was greatly concerned about the secular attempts to destroy the faith in Christ and, if possible, to ban him from the face of the earth. In his analysis, the destruction of the ethical order would lead to disaster and war, so Pope Leo XIII dedicated the human race to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. But in his analysis, any re-Christianization was not possible without the Blessed Virgin Mary, so in 10 encyclicals on the Rosary, he promulgated Marian devotion. In his encyclical on the 50th anniversary of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception, he stressed her role in the redemption of humanity, mentioning Mary as mediatrix and co-redemptrix in the spirit and words of Louis de Montfort. It was Pope Leo XIII who beatified Louis de Montfort in 1888, and as a special honor, he selected for Montfort's beatification the very day of his own golden jubilee of the priestly ordination. It is said that the Marian encyclicals of Pope Pius X Ad Diem Illum relied heavily on the views expressed in Montfort's book True Devotion to Mary. In fact, the language of both the writings is strikingly similar and echoing Montfort. Pope Pius X wrote, I quote, "There is no surer or easier way than Mary in uniting all men with Christ." Pope Pius XII has been often called the most Marian Pope. He was impressed by Montfort's work, God Alone. When he canonized Montfort on July 20th, 1947, he said, "God alone was everything to him. Remain faithful to the precious heritage which this great saint left you. It is a glorious inheritance, worthy that you continue to sacrifice your strength and your life as you have done until today." Pope John Paul II once recalled how, as a young seminarian, he read and reread many times and with great spiritual profit a work of Montfort, and added, "Then I understood that I could not exclude the Lord's Mother from my life without neglecting the will of God Trinity." We all know that Pope John Paul II's apostolic letter, Rosarium Virginis Mariae, that the pontiff's personal motto, Totus Tuus, was inspired by Saint Louis de Montfort's doctrine on the excellence of Marian devotion and total consecration to Jesus through the hands of Mary. The whole Montfortian family in India is aware of how Saint Louis de Montfort's writings have had a tremendous influence on His Eminence Cardinal Ivan Diaz. Addressing the Montfortians, he said, I quote, "As an ordained priest only 22 years old, I was searching for some means to keep up the priestly ideals and to fan the spiritual fervor that had been inculcated in me during my seminary formation. I providentially came across the book True Devotion to Mary in a bookstore in Bombay. It brought back so many pleasant memories of the years when I was a junior member of the Legion of Mary, the lay association founded by Frank Duff with the Montfortian spirituality. Saint Louis Marie de Montfort reveals a beautiful secret, a shortcut to holiness. And the secret is Mary, the masterpiece of God's creation. Louis de Montfort shows how one can best know, love, and serve our Lord with Mary as our mother, model, and guide. True devotion to Mary is an invaluable treasure indeed. Montfort died rather young at the age of 43 years. However, it was certainly not the ejection of his dream and the eclipse of his vision. Our presence here in goodly numbers speaks to our generation that we have the dream of a life with a mission and the vision for a church in the modern world which overcomes all barriers and proclaims all is yours, totus tuus. The Paris Foreign Mission was a very powerful mission focused especially on the Asian continent. The three French brothers Denis, John Baptiste, and Martin de Vertu, joining their great dream and arriving in Pondicherry, was not just an incident of history, but an event of great significance for the Montfort brothers of St. Gabriel. The hostility of the French society may have been the immediate reason for this movement to the little colony of Pondicherry, but the hospitality of the Indian communities made them move fast into sustainable development insertions as we see it in Tindivanam even today. The success story of the brothers in India cannot be quantified, but the presence of 7 vibrant provinces, even at the time of historical downturns in consecrated life, has much to analyze and learn profoundly of the Montfortian vision of wisdom incarnate. The Indian saga of 100 years has the content and commitment that redefine Montfortian mission and enlarge into global vision in tune with the 21st evolution of aspirations and opportunities. The third centenary is not an opportunity, but an occasion to create synergy for futuristic investments. The Montfort missionaries, commonly called Montfort Fathers, moved into India as a post-Vatican push for a church in the modern world. The 3 Italian missionaries, Father Attilio, Mario, and Michelangelo, were adventurous and innovative in establishing the foundation in India. Being the period of downturn for religious life in the church, they had to face many difficulties, but they faced them with Montfortian audacity. The strong presence of the brothers in India was of some help, especially in moments of crisis. Thus, a partnership of the Montfort missionaries and the Montfort brothers of St. Gabriel was realized and is growing strong, undeterred by the past historical bickerings in Europe. The appointment of Reverend Father Raja Rao as the bishop of his home diocese is a proof of the successful insertion and well-grounded growth, and certainly a third centenary gift to the Montfortian family in India. Like Pope John Paul II, a true Montfortian who had an indelible stamp of missionary dynamism and empowering spirituality, we do hope and wish that Bishop Raja Rao becomes a prophet of our times among the church leaders. The Daughters of Wisdom, more popularly known in India as Montfort Sisters, arrived in India in 1979 as an international community of 3 exploring the possibilities of a definitive foundation. They were Sisters Cecil and Jacqueline from Canada and Sister Maria from Italy. It was a part of a larger design of congregational orientation in addition to the missionary expansion. In 1982, the General Chapter of the Sisters decided the following which is indicative of the vision and mission. I quote, "The life and teachings of Jesus Christ and the preference which Montfort and Mary Louise had for the poor urge us through the works we do to show the compassionate and freeing spirit of the gospel toward those whom the world neglects, those who are alienated from the church, so that they become capable of taking their own destiny in hand. In this way, we live out the redemptive incarnation in our own lives, and we participate in a specific mission of the church." Soon, the sisters decided to take 3 girls and begin the formation of the Indian personnel. The number 3 seems to have some providential significance for the Montfortians. Maybe the third centenary will unfold as one among them. The growth of the sisters has been visible, though not remarkable. The brothers were able to play a reasonably participatory role in this foundation. Again, the downturn of religious life, even for the religious women in India, has impacted the results of 37 years of their growth. Incremental changes, transformative actions, or refounding experiences are all possible, since 2030 is a global target year and the sisters will have completed 50 years. At this occasion of the third centenary of Montfort's Passover, we have the collective reason to rejoice that the full family is well established in India. Montfort's dream is not dead, but continuing to blossom across the globe, especially India becoming one of the largest missionary churches with the presence of her sons and daughters in more than 160 countries. We Montfortians can be legitimately proud of the fact that the Montfortian family is present in 49 countries of the 5 continents today. Can the third centenary give a new impetus to her missionary dynamism, not only as religious congregations, but also with other forms of consecrated life? The world opens up numerous new opportunities for mobility and commitments. Third centenary can empower us to move ahead, not just as a part of history, but as innovators of new directions in history, which alone can take us to many more centenaries. The Montfort Brothers of St. Gabriel is a success story in India, with its numerical growth, cultural spread, missionary effectiveness as educationists in its broad sense. That they have been able to create a sustainable formation paradigm, integrated spiritual life, inclusive evangelical initiatives, and growth-oriented economic support system are all indicative of the Montfortian success story for the greater glory of God. The Montfortian vision of a just world is on their lips. The concerns of the poor are in their actions. The power and dynamism of the liberals are in their hearts. The leadership faces daily challenges for strategic actions of transformation, especially in the field of education, understood today as a commitment to an inclusive learning society. The history of the brothers for more than 100 years in India is studded with jewels of persons, daring commitments, and impacting achievements. Montfort, as a prophet of our time, is well expressed in his own words 300 years ago. I quote, I have a Father in heaven who will never fail me. He has led me this far. He has preserved me till now. He will sustain me with his ordinary mercies. I continue to pray to God and abandon myself to his providence. I continue to pray for liberals who would educate the poor and the needy. As we celebrate the third centenary, we the Montfortians are awakened to this reality that we are from this mold which he shaped with Mary, whose finishing touches make everlasting validation. Montfort, as a seeker of wisdom, has definitely arrived in India and with his entire family. This land is known for her seekers of wisdom, which are codified as Vedas. Our educative mission is the most powerful means to reveal the incarnate wisdom, which is personified in Christianity as Jesus Christ. The knowledge society of the time is the perfect matrix of the gift of wisdom, which is constitutive of leadership. Montfortian vocation has to be understood today as a call to leadership. Leadership without borders. Our future is to be found here, and the right time to begin is now. Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort was a great communicator, and his missions bear witness to it. Communicators of the 21st century are more empowered than any of the past generations. The technology has multiplied its reach and impact today. As teachers and preachers, our future is the highway laid out by the civil society for proclaiming a just and an equitable society. Our communication goes beyond the words and events to content and concepts that reveal the kingdom and its values. The refounding of Montfortian mission has to be informative and communication technology powered to make the impact for the 21st century. Let me take the liberty of spelling out here 10 possible tercentenary initiatives for the Montfortians in India. First, a biannual meeting of the provincials of the sisters, fathers, and brothers to look at the larger picture of the country, ministries, and collaboration. Second, 3 national commissions could be set up: education, healthcare, and socio-pastoral, in order to strengthen our resolve to work together for a new century. Third, the Montfort brothers and Gabriel could reach out to all the states of India, if necessary, with accreditation process. Fourth, take steps to create proper linkages with the Legion of Mary, which is the lay Montfortian spiritual movement. Fifth, now that the memorial of Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort is in the universal liturgical calendar, a liturgy leaflet for the feast on 28 April could be made available to all the parishes annually. Sixth, the Archdiocese of Delhi has a parish named after Saint Montfort in the vicinity of our Montfort school. The feast of Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort is celebrated with a 3 days novena. They are in the process of building a new parish church, which maybe we could be associated with it and make it a tercentenary memorial. 7. Le Livre d'Or, published by Nouvelle Cité, Paris, is a good handbook that could be published in English as a souvenir of the third centenary. 8. The Montfort brothers could move into East Timor and Indonesia to rekindle the missionary dynamism, a move that got stopped at the dawn of the millennium. 9. The Montfort sisters could establish an educational institution of their own with whatever support needed from the brothers as a sustainable factor for their growth. 10th, the Montfort fathers could move to the north of India, Rajasthan, which is less served, for expanding their presence and increasing the missionary dynamism. We celebrate this third centenary in the context of a globalized world where great scientific and technological advancements have taken place. But this globalized world also sustains an economic system that promulgates grave inequalities, creates poverty, and even condemns hundreds of people each day to die of hunger. It is a world that seeks peace, respect for the human rights, and respect for the environment, but also where there is violence, war, economic security, corruption, unscrupulous spending, exploitation, discrimination, human trafficking, and other new forms of slavery. It is a world where each person desires happiness, but which fragmented and angry takes refuge in egoism, forgetting its spiritual dimension and even God, and closing its eyes, ears, and heart to those who suffer. We celebrate the third centenary in the context of a church that, led by Pope Francis, wants to renew itself, enter the world, and transmit the gospel, joy of the gospel. On the one hand, it resists change of privileges, and takes refuge in its safety. This is a church that celebrated the year 2015 as the year of consecrated life, where Pope Francis invited all the consecrated persons to look at the past with gratitude, to live the present with passion, and to embrace the future with hope. This is the church that has announced the year 2016 as the Jubilee Year of Mercy, calling every Christian to be merciful like the Father, to be compassionate towards the whole creation. Therefore, our third centenary celebrations should truly become an opportunity to recall the past, to rejoice and render thanks to God for all his marvels, and to renew, to recommit ourselves to be dynamic followers of this great apostolic missionary. Before I conclude, I wish to state that the various events organized by the different entities to commemorate the third centenary year of St. Montfort and to reflect on the rich heritage of examples and teachings that he left us are truly commendable. I wish to place on record my sincere appreciation to all those who made great efforts to spread the charism and spirituality of Montfort through these events. I wish to offer my special congratulations to Brother Lawrence Joseph for his article on the third centenary in the New Leader and all his related publications. To the province of Ercard, responsible for the bringing out the special calendar, beautifully summarizing the life and labors of the saint, to Brother George Kalangod and his team for successfully bringing out the third centenary memorial postal stamp, and to all those who have contributed towards the third centenary souvenir magazine and the Montfort exhibition, which we will be inaugurating shortly here in Leonia. My sincere congratulations go also to the third centenary committee headed by Reverend Father Peter Mascarenhas, that coordinated the different events and planned and prepared for this mega event of the Tercentenary Symposium and the closing ceremonies. Let me also take this opportunity to thank in advance all the resource persons who would be dealing with the spiritual, ecclesial, and social dimensions of Montfortian charism and mission yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Wish you all a very fruitful time together as a large Montfortian family. On behalf of the organizers, I express my sincere thanks in advance to Leonia for creating the right ambience for this symposium, and to the print and electronic media for their patronage. Thank you and God bless.
Dear respected dignitaries on the dais, dear members of the Montfortian family, associates of Montfort and Gabriel, all the well-wishers, friends, all of us gathered here, a very good morning and a very warm welcome. Already there are many words of welcome said, and we are put into the tune of this day's program. On behalf of the Daughters of Wisdom, I am here. On behalf of the Congregation of the Daughters of Wisdom, the General Administration, Sister Louise Mador and her Council, and on behalf of the Daughters of Wisdom, Province India, I am privileged to extend my best wishes to all of us gathered here on this inaugural day of our 3 days program. I implore God's blessings on us to lead us through our reflections. Today, celebrations are an essential part of our families and societies. There are various occasions for celebrations, such as birthdays, anniversaries, jubilees, and much more. Today, right now, we are at the entry point of the closing celebration of the 300th anniversary of the death of our founder, Montfort. We are going to spend together 2.5 days in this cozy, comfortable resort. We Montfortians have come together to seek our ways and means to being more faithful disciples of Montfort, whom we strongly desire to acclaim and proclaim. In order to highlight 2 essential elements of our celebration and this symposium, I would like to refer to the celebration of wedding at Cana. Firstly, Jesus was present. The presence of God, or Jesus, to be at the center of all our celebrations and reflections. Of course, I missed the first part, the Eucharistic celebration, where Jesus was the essential presence. Secondly, sensitivity to the needs of others has to be a priority. Mary said to Jesus, "They have no wine," and to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." And Montfort, and all of us who are familiar with Montfort, we know the catchword. Montfort, carrying the poor man on his shoulders, said, he cried out, "Open the door to Jesus Christ." And in line with the same, Pope Francis said, "The church should be a place that welcomes everyone, its door wide open because no one is excluded from God's mercy. Hence, our presence here and all our reflections here in this place may lead us towards being more sensitive to others in our mission. The theme of our reflections of the coming days, I am told, is in line with the theme of the past year of consecrated life, honoring the past, treasuring the present, and shaping the future. This means that we are going to have a deeper look at our consecrated life with Montfort, our founder. Tercentenary of Montfort becomes a significant occasion for our retrospection, introspection, and progression. Marie-Louise Touchet, Gabriel, and all our predecessors will be companions on our journey during these days. To honor the past, it is necessary to know the past. The keynote address that John has very well explained. Genuine reform or renewal is possible by drawing from the richness of the tradition. To spread the fire of love on earth, Holy Spirit entrusts individuals from each era or age with gifts necessary to look anew on the realities of their times. To some, he gives the charism of founder. At his weakest human moment, at Robe for the Fair in Paris, Louis-Marie de Montfort, a young priest, lived an intense spiritual experience. Meditation on the wisdom literature of the Bible and proximity to people wounded by life led him to contemplate eternal and incarnate wisdom, Jesus of Nazareth. At the hospital of Poitiers, a small room called Wisdom, where he gathered disabled women, giving a program of life for them, written on a cross, was a sign of the folly of the cross. Marked by profound relationship with Christ, nourished by the Word of God, Montfort turned towards his brothers and sisters, particularly the poorest among them. Through him, God's tenderness unfolded upon humanity. Montfort ceaselessly proclaimed this way of happiness through abandonment to divine providence. At the same time, a young woman, Marie-Louise Touchet, was seeking God's will for her. Her encounter with him enabled her to discover her vocation, and she became co-foundress with him of the Congregation of the Daughters of Wisdom. In the Canticle 149, Montfort wrote, "Daughters of wisdom, help the poorest of the poor, those burdened with sorrow, those whom the world rejects. Love with a great love. Love lasts forever. God is your Father, your thought and your vision. I will love my God who lives in my neighbor." In the footsteps of Montfort and Marie-Louise, we walk the path of conversion, leading us to become wisdom through profound contact with the Word of God and in the companionship of Mary. Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort and Blessed Marie-Louise of Jesus, at this moment we pray, look down from heaven on this vine that you have planted and pray the Lord to bless it to bear abundant fruit. Treasuring the present, the desire to remain faithful can create a nostalgia to the past, leaving us helpless in our attempt to detach ourselves from it and to launch forward. In the process, we stand a chance of losing our footing in the currents of changes which leaves a painful break with the past. Each day presents us with new challenges to remain faithful in our works, our fields of action, our prayers, and our relationship with one another, to seek more authentic fidelity. We are members of 3 different institutes, but one family. Could we accept our own differences and transcend our divergent interpretations and recapture the spirit of our founder, Montfort? We are invited to create today exterior manifestations and ways by which the dynamism of our missionary faith can be fully lived rather than a day-to-day mediocrity. Like the apostles on Mount Tabor at the event of Transfiguration, we also can have the temptation to build 3 tents and stay in. But like Abraham and Sarah of the Old Testament, we are called to enlarge the space of our tents to welcome everyone. Following Montfort and Marie-Louise, do we believe deep in our hearts that God so loved the world that he permeated it with wisdom? Do we believe that God calls us every day to reveal her to those around us? If this is our faith, let us continue in hope and creativity to dedicate our entire lives and all our energies to announce the folly of God's love for wounded humanity. Shaping the future. By exploring the past from the perspective of the present, we can take steps to shape the future. The spiritual heritage that we received from our founders is a call for today in view of tomorrow. This invitation to fidelity, creativity, and apostolic renewal encourages us to share our spirituality with God's people. Transformation is the key to the future. Here I am reminded of a story from Indian fable. A mouse was constantly anxious because of its fear of a cat. An angel passing by saw this and had pity on the mouse. He then turned the mouse into a dog. Satisfied, he left. But on his return several months later, he found the dog was now suffering from a paralyzing fear of a cheetah. Jumping in again, the angel changed the dog into a lion so that it would be relieved of the fear. Again, upon returning months later, he found the lion now afraid of a rogue elephant. Finally, he turned the lion back into a mouse, saying, "There is very little anyone can do for you, because no matter what changes are made outside, within you will always have the heart of a mouse." So what is important is a genuine change from within. Without that, nothing great can be achieved. With incarnate wisdom, with Montfort, let us choose the way of transformation that brings us close to humanity. Walking with our brothers and sisters, taking time to discover wisdom's presence in whole creation, ready to listen to the cries of the universe and of the poor, so as to welcome the life that wisdom wishes to offer the empty spaces of our sterility. It is important to let ourselves to be challenged to the point of reconfiguring our ways of being and walking together, realizing that we are always evolving on our journey. In the manner of Mary at the visitation, let us reach out to the other so that together we give and liberate life. To conclude, I quote Viktor Frankl, the author of man's search for meaning. To live, you must choose. To love, you must encounter. To grow, you must suffer. I think that this was true in the life of Montfort. Congratulations and thanks to the organizing committee and best wishes to all of us. May we have a good beginning, better continuation, and a best ending that will propel us towards the future. Thank you.
So dear Bishop Raja, dear Brother John, dear Sister Lily, dear brothers, dear sisters, dear fathers in Christ, good morning. So I bring you the greetings of Father Santino Brembilla, our Superior General, who couldn't be here for this important occasion, and he sent me, so I'm lucky to be here. But he promised that he will be present spiritually, emotionally, with his prayers, and that he will accompany us during these 3 days of work. Now, in the letter that Brother John, Father Santino, and Sister Louise addressed to the 3 congregations of the Montfortian family for the preparation of the celebrations of this tercentenary of the death of our founder, in that letter they invited us to celebrate the person, to celebrate Montfort. They said, I quote, by bringing to mind who he was in his life, by developing awareness of who is for us today and for the Church, and finally exploring who can he be for us in the future. Well, I think that this way of celebrating the tercentenary of our founder's death is very interesting. And I find it very, very important. I find it very inspiring. And I'm sure that the 2.5 days that we will be together will help us in achieving this goal, that of celebrating not so much ideas or projects or visions, but celebrating a person, the person of St. Louis of Montfort. Well, as I was reflecting on the words that I wanted to share with you at the beginning of this event, something very obvious came to mind. I thought that none of us here has ever met Montfort in person. It's something very obvious, but no one of us here is as old as 300 years and more to say, I met Montfort in person. But as Father Raja was, Father Raja, you're still Father Raja. As Bishop Raja was saying this morning in his homily, the charism of Montfort lives in us. It lives in each and every one of us because each and every one of us carries in his life, in his heart, in his mission, in what he does, in what she does, a spark of the fire that burned in the heart and in the life of St. Louis of Montfort. So I'm aware that the organizers of this symposium will have a lot in stock for us, speeches and work and all that. But I would like that we begin this meeting by asking you to do something very simple. Now, just 1 minute, it doesn't take long. I ask you to remember a person, let's say a father, or a brother, or a sister, or a lay person, anybody. I ask you to remember this person who was for you in your life an inspiration and a model. I'm sure that each one of us has a person of this kind. Each one of us can say, I knew this one man who was really a great brother of St. Gabriel. I knew this Montfortian father who was really a great father. I knew this sister who was really a wonderful Montfort sister. I knew this lay person who was so devoted and lived Montfortian spirituality very much. So let us just remember one person who was important for us in our lives. Just remember that person. Let us make this person present here today. I ask you to make this person present to you, to your mind, to your heart. And I ask you, during these 2 days and a half, or even after, to find a way to honor this person, to celebrate this person. And this person may be here. The person that inspired you in your life may be here, maybe not. So let us make this person present and honor this person by just remembering what this person did for us, or by praying for this person, or by telling to anybody who is here about this person. So I think that it would be a very profound, a very good way to celebrate the presence of Montfort in each and every one of us, the presence of Montfort in the life of each and every one of us. Well, I'm sure that the symposium we are opening will be a success. I have no doubt about that. But I would like this occasion to be also an encounter among ourselves, to be a moment of fraternity, a moment of sharing, a moment of being together as Montfortian family. Because as we celebrate the person of Montfort, as the three generals asked us to do, we are also celebrating our own selves. We are celebrating who we are as members of the Montfortian family. And so I wish you all the best for these 2.5 days, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
We have had a very long session, inaugural session, and I am sure you are all very eager to go out of this hall. You may be tired. However, I would like to express a few words of gratitude on behalf of the organizing committee. Most right, Reverend Bishop Raja Rao, Reverend Brother John Clerical, Reverend Father Luigi Gritti, Reverend Sister Lily Joseph, Father Peter Mascarenas, and all of you participants of this Tercentenary celebration. First of all, I would like to thank Bishop Raja Rao, the main celebrant of this inaugural Mass, for setting the right tone of this symposium of 3 days. And Bishop Raja Rao, in his homily, reminded us that Montfort is present in the life of each one of us. We have to honor the past. The hand of the Lord has been upon our pioneers and is on us, and that is the secret of our success. Thank you very much, Bishop Raja Rao, for your inspiring message. Next, I would like to thank Sister Lily Joseph, the Provincial of Daughters of Wisdom, for her message. She gave us 2 very valuable points. She told us that we have to make Jesus the center of all our celebrations. Second, that we have to be sensitive to the needs of the poor. So thank you very much, Sister Lily, for your message. I am also thankful to Father Luigi Gritti, Assistant Superior General of Montfort Fathers, for his presidential address. He invited us to celebrate the person of St. Louis Mary de Montfort. Although none of us have seen St. Louis de Montfort, his charism lives on in each one of us. He also gave us a very practical suggestion to remember a person who has touched your life and honor him by remembering what he or she did for you in these 2 days, and thus make this celebration symposium very practical. Thank you very much, Father Gritti. I would like to express my gratitude to Reverend Brother John Clerical, the Superior General, for his keynote address. In his keynote address, he told us that the Tercentenary is a year of grace for all of us Montfortians. We have to study the past to find the future. Tercentenary is a call to go back to the spirituality and charism of our founder, for whom God alone was everything. True devotion to Mary is an invaluable treasure indeed. He also recalled the pioneering history of all the 3 Montfortian congregations here in India. Finally, he suggested to us 10 possible new initiatives that could be taken by us as members of Montfortian family. So thank you very much, dear John Clerical. I would be failing in my duty if I did not appreciate Mr. John and his choir from St. Paul's High School, Hyderabad, for their lively and melodious singing. Congratulations. Finally, I thank the organizing committee for all these elaborate arrangements. Let us give them a once again, thank all of you participants for your valuable presence. Have a very fruitful symposium honoring the past, treasuring the present, and shaping the future. Thank you very much.
For thanking each one. Dear brothers and sisters, we shall now warm our throats with a cup of tea. Let us break now. Before that, there shall be the inauguration of the exhibition of the Montfortian family by Most Reverend Bishop Joseph Raja and Reverend Brother John Clerical. Brother Shajan shall lead the gathering. Thank you. This break is for half an hour, and we shall come back again half an hour into this hall. Thank you.